So I want to dive into your story. So you dreamt of being an announcer and you did things to get a foot in the door, like fight management. But can you tell me about when you got that call, that first call for UFC 10, the moment you'd been waiting for? What did that mean to you in that moment, and how did it come about?
You know, I had originally gone down to UFC 8 in Bayamon, Puerto Rico in 1996, and I had a fighter, like you said, managing, but I wasn't interested in managing fighters. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's a great job. But my focus was more on what I wanted was to be standing center octagon and developing my career and helping build the UFC brand. So I brought my fighter down. As you know, in the first fight, I announced the prelims, and then I kept asking for the job because I come from the theory of thought. You have to ask for the job. If you want something, you ask for it. And I would stop off in New York, take them out to drinks, do whatever, where their offices were, calling them, getting on them. Finally, I got a call, and I was in the hospital with my mom, who had a serious operation at the time, and she was recovering the day after. And the call came in saying, "We need you in Alabama in 2 days to announce all of UFC 10." And I'm like, "Well, I'd love to, that's what I'm waiting for, but I'm sitting here with my mother in the hospital, and I'll call you back because I've got some serious stuff going on right now." And few words were exchanged. I hung up the phone, and my mom looked at me, and I thought she was asleep. And she said, "That's the call you've been waiting for, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah, it is, Mom." She goes, "Go. You got to go." And it was just like a scene. I've said this before in interviews, but it was a scene like out of Rocky, when his wife is suffering, she's pregnant, she goes into a coma, she doesn't want him to fight, doesn't want him to train. And then she wakes up and looks at him, realizes this is what he wants, what he's dreaming of. And she says, "Win." Right. Same thing. So I ran out to Alabama, did the show, came back. Thought I did a good job. Obviously, it's a lot different than the way I announced today. Everything's an evolutionary process. And I didn't get the call to come back to the next show. They hired somebody else, and it was a friend of the producers. And that's fine. He had a good voice, a little nervous in the service, screwing up a few names, and it gave me more fodder to call back and repitch myself. And eventually, about 6 months or so later, I got a call from the owner saying that Warner Brothers wanted to check and get audio and pictures of me because they wanted a real announcer to play the role of the Octagon announcer in the show they were doing on Friends, the famous TV show, which was The Ultimate Champion that had Tank Abbott and Big John McCarthy and me on co-starring as myself, because they gave me the job, and I used that as a bartering tool with the owner of the UFC, saying, "Look, finally, finally you're on getting huge publicity. You're on one of the biggest shows, if not the biggest comedy on TV. I'm co-starring as myself. Let's stop screwing around. I feel like a girl waiting to be asked to the prom. It's like I'm standing against the wall. I'm not going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you one more time. We either do this and I grow with you as the announcer, help you build this brand, and we create history together, or bye-bye. I got other things to do." Best poker hand I ever played. And I announced every single UFC for the next probably 15 years until they brought in a backup announcer to fill in, a couple of them to fill in for me when I couldn't physically be in two places at one time. And now it's a good thing too, because there's so many shows and they want to rest me, but I don't rest. I'll go do a NASCAR event, or I'll do a big sporting event, or maybe I will rest. It depends. But I love being in the octagon. That's my office.